Right, welcome back to another startup pitch session. This time it's AI for energy. Once again, I'd like to repeat the rules of the competition. Each company has 3 minutes to present, and the jury has 2 minutes to ask questions. The contestants have timers here. I apologize if I do have to interrupt you. 3 minutes is 3 minutes. It's not my rules, it's the higher-ups. And the jury has 2 minutes for questions. Now, if we're ready to go, let's welcome the first pitcher, Sonya Hofer, co-founder at Central EMS. You have your mic.
Hi, my name is Sonya. I'm co-founder of CENEMS, and we help real estate companies preserve and grow asset value by turning their fragmented building energy data into fully automated and AI-optimized management. Now, for context, we all know that real estate consumes a lot of energy, that energy prices have been excruciating, and that the regulatory landscape is tightening. Now, what's talked about less is what happens when you don't do anything about that. As energy performance of a building already affects the achievable rent, the time on the market, it affects NOI, and ultimately asset value. And yet, asset owners today are still using overpriced and static systems. So, we've built a system that uses AI optimization and connects to the entire energy ecosystem of a building and constantly optimizes when and how energy should be consumed, stored, or sold. This way, we're able to reduce energy costs by 20 to 40% and able to increase EPC score by up to 2 bands. Now, every euro we save on energy is a euro added to net operating income. At a 5% cap rate, that means every euro we save in energy adds 20 euro to an asset's value. Now, why now? Now, we all look at the news. Between the politics, the geopolitics, and energy markets, players who weren't paying attention are paying attention now. Now, existing building energy management systems focus almost exclusively on commercial offices. And that leaves residential multifamily buildings virtually untouched by software. And this is a gap where we can come in. The main issues with this asset type is the technical complexities as well as the split incentives that leave stakeholders in a virtual deadlock over who pays. And so we had to build the software that's flexible enough to deal with the complexities as well as build a business model that realigns costs and benefits proportionately. The advantage of entering with residential asset types is that we virtually have no competition in that, and we're very quickly able to prove ROI and expand within portfolios across any and all asset types. For us, that means low cost of customer acquisitions and high customer lifetime value, and each building makes our model faster, better, and harder to replicate. We're contracted to deploy across 500 assets by the end of this year. This is something that took our competitors 8 years to do. And that's not a vanity metric, that's a data moat. We're deployed across 150 assets already in Germany, and we've done this in 8 months only, and have raised 500K in angel-led seed round to date. Now we're raising 3.8 million in a seed round. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sonya, for that pitch. Juries, any questions? Over here. Please introduce yourself before asking the question.
Hi, thank you for the pitch. I'm Lisa from Aramco Ventures. My question is on the team. Can you elaborate a little bit on your background, where you're coming from, what you've been doing before, and the rest of the management team?
So my co-founder was head of technology at an energy service company in Germany and spent 12 to 18 months trying to find the solution that we ended up building because we couldn't find a single solution that solved all of the issues. It's always piecemeal. We optimize batteries, we optimize solar, we optimize this, that, but you don't want 50 solutions, you want one, and this is what we built. My background's in fintech and financial startup world, and so together we cover energy, tech, real estate, and finance and investment decisions, which is precisely where the problem lies in real estate.
Hi, I'm Christina from Invent Capital. Can you elaborate a bit more on your revenue model?
So we have a two-tier pricing system. One is just basic analytics and monitoring, which is necessary for ESG compliance. We priced it at 25 euros per building, which if you know a little bit about building energy management systems, it's very easily scalable. In terms of the optimization features, we have a system that's tiered by energy consumption. So between 0 and 20,000 kilowatt hour per year, and then it goes in ranks. And that's typically takes what it would cost them on a yearly basis and has a 10% charge on the savings, but as a flat rate to have a predictable cost model for our clients.
Perfect.
Hi there, Andrew Beebe with Obvious Ventures. Can you talk about your customer acquisition method, because your scale seems quite impressive?
So we're very lucky to be very closely connected with some of the largest real estate companies in Europe. So we've had a very comfortable entry into that, and because we partner with energy service companies who are directly connected to these real estate companies, this has been our primary entry into the market. And because there's a real need for this, when we do a lot of in-person conferences with real estate companies, and the take-up is very quick because there's a real need for it.
Perfect. Thank you, Sonya, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Maureen Helali, CEO of Decentral AI. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Hey everyone, my name is Mar. I am the CEO of Decentral AI. We are an AI company for the AI for Energy track. So what we did is we realized that all enterprises want to adopt AI just like their competition is, but they are scared of regulation. They have lots of governance. They don't want these people to access certain data. They want their large language models to be fully private. So we created a solution to tackle that. Our solution is simple. We basically created a very smart algorithm that allows to pick the right large language model for the right task. So for example, a math question would pick a math model, chemistry question would pick a chemistry model. This works really good for the energy because there's a lot of chemistry, physics, and math involved, but also works for any other use case because we count on specialized models, which are smaller, but because they're smaller and specialized, if you pick them correctly, we actually benchmark better than ChatGPT. And ChatGPT, Claude, all of those, they are centralized AI entities, so you have to send them your data, hence our name, Decentralized AI. We are a solution that's behind the firewall, behind the VPN. We bring the language models into your network, and then you can use them and reuse them as much as you want for free, fully privately. So clearly, this is an efficient way to use AI instead of relying on a foundational model that ChatGPT or Amazon AWS or Anthropic hosts. You don't need a very large language model to answer a basic math question or who the president is. So we make it much more energy efficient to use AI while keeping it at the exact same benchmark level. So you're not losing on any performance. So the smart model selection is the core of our algorithm, but because of that, we're able to actually commercially make small language models useful for an enterprise. An enterprise is not going to sit down and try different models, so we took care of that for them. This just works right out the box as a SaaS solution. The TAM, SAM, SOM numbers of the regulated AI, the governance of AI industry, very large, clearly. We are at 600 ARR since I've done since I've sent the pitch deck. We actually closed another deal, so we're at 1 million ARR finally. We're cash flow positive. We provided tremendous, crazy numbers of return on investment for some of our clients in energy and gaming. So we raised 350K for the first 2 months, and then we haven't raised again ever since. We've been profitable until today. We're still profitable, but we're looking to expand and do a very large spur growth. So why this Decentral AI qualifies as a solution? It's all these things compared to what's out there. The Ollama, Hugging Face are like do-it-yourself solution. You got to have engineers, but it only works for one certain use case. The other ones, you got to give them your data or a lot of money. This is the one solution that works for enterprises right away. This is our team. We're based out of the US. We're based out of Las Vegas. Lots of energy there. We came out of the Electrify Nevada generator program, which allowed us to work with lots of energy clients and customers. Right now, we're in connections and in talks with many other US and international energy companies.
Sorry, Maureen, I'm going to have to cut you off.
Okay, that's it. This is the ask slide.
Any jury questions? Right here.
Oh, I think
I can just speak up. Christian Batby, UBS. What's your revenue model? How do you make money?
yeah, we're just a SaaS platform, and we sell our license. So they pay for our license. It's expensive. Sorry, go ahead. Oh.
Gabriel Craw with Prelude Ventures. Can you dive a little deeper on explaining bringing models on-prem, and how do you avoid a lot of the cost of paying for tokens? That's the more traditional model of deploying these.
Very good question. So if you go on like Hugging Face or like a platform where there's open source models like OpenAI, open source, it's like a very large zip file, like a 70 gigs file. It's like an expensive game if you think about it. So you can take that model and run it on your computer, on your hardware. You're just gonna need to have a decently good computer. So in the regular large language model world, all the models are like 500 billion parameters up, which means you need very, very expensive NVIDIA graphics cards to solve that. That's why it's monopolized by OpenAI and Anthropic and all these. While in reality, the small language models specialized can do the exact same and give you the exact same result. When you bring them into your environment and you deploy them there, whether it's in your AWS environment, in your local on-prem servers, or on novelty hardware like the NVIDIA DigiXs, we are part of the NVIDIA Inception program, so we did a pilot with them early on. You're able to run it on the physical hardware as much as you want. So as long as the hardware is up, and you're exchanging with it, you don't pay any tokens. You own the LLMs and you own all the token economy.
Thank you, Marouen, for that presentation. Big round of applause. Next up, we have Max Carrel, co-founder and CTO at Dyneo Technologies.
You hear me now? Great, thanks. Sorry for the trouble. This is a picture that I took from my balcony in Geneva. And the entry and I will probably miss that one of those mountains is the Mont Blanc, the highest mountains in the Alps. What I'm sure none of you have missed is the thousands of buildings pumping CO2 in the atmosphere in order to meet their heating demand. Thankfully, Geneva has a plan, like many other cities across Europe, to tackle that. They want to expand the existing district heating and cooling network in order to replace fossil boilers with clean energy. And it is true that new construction can provide very clean and low carbon intensity energy, but existing networks in operation today are still vastly powered by fossil fuel. And we see a very strong pressure on the operators to both reduce this dependence, but also to maintain competitive energy prices against traditional, typically fossil-based solution. And this is a very difficult and challenging balance to strike. This is why we developed Dyneo. It is a software solution that we provide to the operators, energy utilities, to support them in reducing the heat loss of their infrastructure while increasing the share of renewables in their energy mix. We also support in increasing streamlining the operation in order to decrease the time and efforts required to operate those increasingly complex assets. Well, how does it work in practice? We start by collecting and consolidating data about the way the network operates. And we process this data in order to detect, but most importantly, prioritize performance bottlenecks on the network. We then emit recommendations that a customer can implement in order to achieve long-lasting efficiency gain on the network. we're very happy to have some large customers, some of the largest operators in Europe that trust us on our solution. But as you can see, we're still very much focused around the Mont Blanc, let's say. And we're very much looking forward to expand this footprint across Europe. If you want to learn more about how AI is used today to decarbonize Europe's largest energy end use, come and talk to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Max, for that presentation and time extra there. Any jury questions for Max? Over here.
Hello, Max.
It's your turn now.
Okay. Hello, I'm Blanca Sastre from Elewit Ventures. I just wanted to ask you a little bit more about the team, who is building everything.
So we are 7 people at the moment, 2 co-founders, myself coming more from the data engineering aspect, and my co-founder Mel, who's a building technology engineer, so really coming from the energy engineering side. And most of the team is focused on the technology, data technology essentially, a bit on operation and sales. That helps.
I think there was another question there, yeah.
Thanks. Andrew Beebe with Obvious. Can you just explain the product one more time? It was a little bit confusing to understand exactly what you're doing and whether it's for district heating or electricity or all of the above.
No, it is really for district heating. It's a specialized application from district heating and cooling operators. It's a software solution to collect, analyze the data, and make recommendations to improve the efficiency and increase the share of renewables.
And is it's actionable recommendations, but is it actually taking the action or just surfacing the recommendations?
We have 2 models. One that is really doing recommendations, because sometimes really there's a pump that is broken, and then someone has to go on site and fix it. But there is some set points optimization that can be done automatically as well, in kind of an automatic.
And it's a SaaS product. You sell that as a subscription.
Exactly. Yeah, there is an onboarding cost and then a subscription for the duration of the project. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Max, for that presentation. Next up in the presentations, we have Jørgen Festervoll, CEO of Heimdall Power.
Thank you. For more than 10 years, Heimdall Power has believed in one simple truth. Better grids means better lives. Because the power grid isn't just an infrastructure. It's the backbone of everything we care about. It powers hospitals, schools, homes, modern life itself. When it works, economies thrive. When it doesn't, we stagnate. And right now, our grid is under pressure like never before. Demand is exploding from electrification, industry, AI data centers, while thousands of gigawatts of renewables are queued up to connect. Connect to a grid that was built for a different era and that is increasingly facing extreme weather. So what do? Well, one thing is clear. We cannot put wires and poles in the ground fast enough to build ourselves out of this problem. So we need a new approach. We need to get dramatically more out of the grid we have already built. And it starts by knowing how much is already there. Today, utilities are operating a dynamic system with static assumptions. They don't really know what their lines can actually carry right now at this location under these conditions, which is why they apply very conservative margins, which means that significant capacity sits untapped. The real question isn't really whether capacity exists, it's whether we can see it, trust it, and unlock it. And that is exactly what Heimdall Power does. Think of us as the, sorry about that. Think about, oh, wrong way. I'm losing time. Okay, I'll forget this slide. Think about us as the Apple Watch for the power grid. Forbes has called us the magic ball that would save the power grids around the world. Time magazine just named us one of the best innovations of 2025. And just like the Apple Watch slips onto your wrist in a matter of seconds, our intelligent sensors are mounted directly on high voltage power lines using autonomous drone in under a minute without any outages. These sensors capture real-time conditions, and combined with AI-powered software, they typically unlock 20 to 40% additional capacity on existing infrastructure. Think about it. That's like an equivalent of building a new transmission line delivered in hours instead of 10 years at less than 5% of the cost. Not by pushing harder, but by operating with far more precision. We've deployed our technology with more than 50 utilities across 21 countries, and yet 99% of all high voltage overhead lines in the world do not have a sensor. The white space is enormous. Sorry. Okay.
The 3 minutes are up. Don't take it too personally. The timer's up. Do we have any jury questions?
Yes, Christian Patini, UBS. What are the sales cycles with the utilities like? And second question, can software players come after you, or is the hardware necessary?
Yeah, so we do the software-only version of this technology, but we truly believe that for congested lines, you need to have a sensor to verify the data. So we do software only, but our main product is hardware. And I think you know the answer to the question. They are long, but when you're in, and you're in for forever. As long as you don't screw up, you're on their lines forever. And what I was going to say before it was a little mixed up with the slides, is that we see ourselves as a B2B SaaS, a hardware-enabled B2B SaaS company, but we're really a data play, right? Because the more sensors we put on, the more data we have. The more data we have, the better products we can build. The better products we can build, the better adoption rate we get. So it's really about getting that unique data. I think the kind of software that would deliver this as a software only can be programmed by you using Claude and a weather service very easily. So it's very difficult to defend that position. It's very much easier to defend having a sensor on the power line.
All right. A second quick question.
James Locke here for Microsoft. Curious on how you differentiate between other dynamic line ratings companies that are out there today.
So again, on the software hardware side, I hope I answered partly the question. I believe you need a ground truth. Otherwise, you're just guesstimating what is happening out there. We can actually prove that that's what's happening. And especially in forecasting, when you do use weather, you want to test that with your sensors so you get accurate forecasting as well. We're working very closely with Microsoft. I think one of the things is just the scale.
Sorry, Jørgen. Once again, the time is up. Sorry.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Jørgen, for your presentation. Next up, we have Romain Batby, CTO and founder of Inicio.
Sorry. Okay. You have seen everything. Okay. Yeah. Hello, I'm Romain. I'm the co-founder of Inicio. We use artificial intelligence to answer one simple but very important question: where energy project should be located. In an ideal world, energy projects will be deployed on the best locations, not only the easiest or fastest to permit. But today, the energy development is fragmented, is highly uncertain, and is difficult. Developers spend months to months navigating land constraints, navigating regulations, and grid connection risks. So we use artificial intelligence to answer the question where we need to develop the best sites, and particularly how can we predict the outcomes of grid connections. We use artificial intelligence at 3 levels. First, automated field analysis and optimization. Secondly, we use it to understand high-scale developments. And then we transform maps to GPS level insights. Then our platform is able to bring together all risks from landowners to city councils into one single streamlined workflow. We also use artificial intelligence to be better in the way we build our tools. Today, our software developers are faster to integrate new data. We optimize our workflow, and then we de-risk projects earlier thanks to artificial intelligence. We are working with 20 developers across France and Italy, and plan to develop across Europe into the next year and the years after. We are a team of 15 persons, combining a lot of different expertise from artificial intelligence, grid system, and energy. And our mission is to make development easier, more scalable, and faster. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Romain, for that presentation. Any jury questions?
Yes. Hello, I'm Julian from SE Venture. Quick question: where do you get your data from, and how easy is it to expand to a new country?
Yeah, clearly, to get to a new country, there is a barrier. To start with your question, we get the data from all over the web. There is open data, easy to access data, and then scarce documents. And thanks to artificial intelligence, we are able to gather it and to understand it to get the useful data. So document from all over the web.
Any other question there?
Yes, can you describe the revenue model? How do you charge for it?
Yeah, so there are two business models: the software as a service, annually license, and then for the project, we get fee when the projects are developed.
Any other jury questions? Thank you, Romain, for that presentation. Next up, we have Aurélien Schwartz, CEO and founder of Metroscope.
Wonderful, thank you. Well, thanks everyone for listening to me. I'm Aurélien Schwartz, I'm the CEO and founder of Metroscope. I'm a former researcher working on the monitoring of nuclear plants. And today you're not investors, you are nuclear operators. Good for you. And there's one thing that you care about in your nuclear plant is to try to understand how to get the maximum energy output of your plant while keeping the volume of maintenance as low as possible, because maintenance is very costly. Good thing for you, this is exactly what Metroscope is doing, leveraging AI. I will show you, this is your plant. Oh my God, there are things happening here. You can see different problems that are happening on different equipment. This is a PWR nuclear plant. It's actually a real use case. So PWR stands for pressure water reactor. So this is your steam cycle, and you have something like 8 to 9 problems happening at the moment, leading to actual loss. Just know something. As a nuclear operator, you're fully aware that you're losing approximately 10 megawatts out of 1,000. And across the world, from our experience, there's almost 1% energy wasted at the plant level. This is what we are after, and this is what we're doing at Metroscope. EDF is using Metroscope over their 57 nuclear plants, and they claim 100 megawatt of gain, net gain on their fleet production already. So how did we come with that? With a technology that I won't have time to explain here, but it's essentially physics-inspired AI, leveraging an inferential engine coming back from Bayesian theory. I'm not going into detail, but we are thought leader on the topic. We are very present at the AIEA. We are granted by the DOE in the US also for a lot of experimentation, etc. I would gladly answer a question about the technology later, but I don't have a lot of time right now. This is essentially our current footprint, and I will just mention one project that I'm very proud of, which is we're supporting the Ukrainian operation in the current wartime to support them to provide electricity in the safest and most reliable way. So I'm pretty happy about us being able to support the war effort in Ukraine. Even though we do have a cool technology, we're trying to be even cooler as a team. And this is us. We have one core value that is simplicity. We're trying to live by that value as much as possible. And I hope that I'm giving the team a good representation today and that they will be proud of me. If there's one thing that I would like you to remember about Metroscope, and that will close my pitch, is that last year only we saved 350,000 tons of equivalent CO2 thanks to either displacing fossil generation by improving nuclear generation or increasing the energy efficiency of the gas plants. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much for that pitch. Jury questions? Right here.
Hi, Christian Patino, UBS. How dependent are you on the EDF ecosystem?
We did a spin-off of EDF R&D. So the three co-founders, we were researchers working for EDF R&D. And when we created the technology and tried it on a few nuclear plants in France, we were like, okay, this is much bigger than only the nuclear plant in France. We need to create a startup. So at that time, we struck a deal with Jean-Bernard Lévy, that was the former CEO of EDF, and we said, okay, we're going to do the startup together, and EDF gave us a seed investment, which makes us part of the EDF venture portfolio today.
I think there was another question back there. Yeah, okay. Oh, sorry.
So you came out of EDF, it looked like from the map, your customers were US-based more than European, and then you said you didn't want to go into technology. I'm sneaking in two questions at once. Did you actually build sort of a frontier model with all that data that you had, or are you just doing something that is sort of statistical and actually physics-based and not truly a generative frontier model?
Okay, so first answer, we have a US location in Washington, DC. Our headquarters in Paris. We are present in 12 different countries. We're working with utilities like Constellation, Ontario Power Generation in North America. We're working obviously with EDF across all their assets, but also other utilities across Europe, whether in Finland, in Switzerland, in Belgium, in the UK, etc. So we start to have a big footprint in Europe, working mainly with utilities that have power generation assets. To your second question, it's very hybrid. So the easy answer is we're leveraging all the data existing over like 10 years of history by the second on the plants to calibrate digital twins that are hybrid, machine learning and physics inspired, because when we have the physical equation, we will use it, but we don't always have the physical equation. So in a classical, what we call digital twin, classical digital twin, we'll have like 10,000 equation. But not only, we also leverage unsupervised machine learning, supervised machine learning, regressions, etc. So
sorry, Aurélien, I'm going to have to cut you off.
It's more complex than it looks, yeah.
Sorry again, thank you for your presentation. Next up on the pitches, we have Cheikh Dramé, business developer at Splight.
Splight, yeah. Thank you. Can you hear me well? All right. So imagine wasting enough electricity to power New York City for an entire year. That's exactly what happened in 2024. About 50 terawatt hours of renewable energy were curtailed. That was equivalent to 1.5 billion euros in earned revenues from renewable generators. And here's the fact. Because our distribution and transmission lines only operate at around 55% of their capacity, renewables are getting curtailed. At Splight, we help unlock that idle capacity faster and cheaper while we wait for the grid basically to be upgraded and new lines to be built. So what is happening is that, we have developed a solution that's called the DCM, the Dynamic Congestion Manager. It's based on our proprietary algorithm, and this is how it works, basically. We move the traditional operational or thermal limitations, where roughly the grid operates at 55% of its capacity, to doubling and from time tripling the capacity when we pair it with dynamic line rating. And basically, we transform a static congested grid into a dynamic and high-capacity network. And this allows basically to safely move more power on the lines, and then it helps accelerate the energy transition, and also do it in a way that's kind of more sustainable. So who are our customers? We basically provide the benefit, to a wide array of key players on the grid, right? If you think of the players at both edges of the grid, so the generators, are able to reduce or sometimes eliminate curtailment. The batteries can optimize basically their economics. The large loads are able to quickly interconnect into the grid. And then the utilities, what's the benefit there is that we add a layer basically of reliability, as we are also an automated control scheme in that sense. So Splight is not a proof of concept. It's real, it's been working, and it's been adding value worldwide. So we have over 30 customers worldwide. We've deployed our DCM on about 6 gigawatts of assets across the globe. And then also we are able to unlock revenues for those renewable generators that we have by generating them an extra 50 million euros in those extra revenues. But last but not least, from a sustainability standpoint, the impact that we have is that we've been able to avoid about 850 kilotons of CO2. So far, Splight was built in 2021, so it's a really young company, but we've been able to raise 26 million. And thanks to our investors, including strategics like Eloit, like EDP Ventures, we are keeping our growth and are able to expand also globally.
Sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt. Your 3 minutes are up. Sorry, again, don't take it too personally.
It's okay, I'm not taking it personally.
Do we have jury questions? There's one here and there's one there.
Yeah, so I understand that you are tackling the physical constraint of grids, but how are you tackling the regulatory point regarding the grids?
That's a very good question. So we do try to share with the regulators, the solution that we have. So for example, in the case of the US, if you're looking at it and observing what's happening in the northeast of the US, the regulators are looking at pushing more performance-based rate making, where instead of incentivizing utilities for building just more transmission lines, they're telling them to look at non-wires alternative and more flexible solutions. And so in that sense, we've recently got to pass an application with the Public Utility Commission in Connecticut, where we were able to pass the first phase, and then we in for the second phase. And then, in some other markets, we are really working with the generators who are dealing with the pain point and losing millions because they are not able to earn them, to come up in front of the utilities and really try to have them work with us to deploy this solution.
I think there was a second question over here.
Can you just describe one customer experience that you have fully implemented and has been running for a while and what you've done for them, and then also whether that has just software or software and hardware?
Yep, so basically we have a software, but for example in Chile, we also install monitoring devices, right, at the generation level. And so when we're talking about the DCM, it works with the fast responding assets. So that are, your solar, your wind, some combined cycle these days, and also the battery storage. Because we are able to calculate set points, and in case of any contingency happening in the grid, and that's where we add that level of reliability, instead of shutting down fully the generation, we are able to progressively trip down things and maintain the kind of stability of the grid. So in Chile, for example, we've worked, with various generators, some of the companies that you saw out there, Acciona, NG of the world, and help them really recoup, those unearned revenues that they were not realizing.
Thank you, Cheikh.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that presentation. Thank you. Next, we have Karen Ye, Director of Commercial Growth at WindBorne Systems.
AI too many times, don't laugh at me. I'm going to kick things off with a statistic that we're all too familiar with on extreme events, but specifically I want to talk about Storm Kristen, which swept through Portugal and also Spain earlier this year, led to 1 million houses without power and several lives lost. How can we prepare for this changing environment? We recognize that forecast uncertainty is the biggest driver when it comes to disaster preparedness. But why exactly are forecasts so uncertain? It comes down to the data that feeds into these models. If you look at this map, only 15% of the atmosphere is adequately observed today when it comes to weather observations. This is a critical gap that we are here to close. WindBorne is eliminating this weather uncertainty with our long-duration smart weather balloons. We operate the largest constellation of weather balloons around the planet. Unlike traditional weather balloons that only fly for 2 hours, our balloons have an average duration of over 2 weeks, continuously profiling the atmosphere and collecting data in areas over the ocean that currently aren't observed. And because weather is a global system, this is critical to help improving forecast accuracy. We take this data, it feeds into our own in-house AI models that generates more accurate forecasts. To date, we've launched over 7,000 balloons, and currently we have over 300 balloons flying in the atmosphere right now, launched from over 15 launch sites around the globe. Now, if I take a step back and look at all the different types of weather data sources that are available today, WindBorne balloons have been validated to be the most cost-effective method in improving forecast accuracy, which leads to where we are today. We are excited to introduce WindBorne Guardian, our fully integrated end-to-end solution designed for utilities. We take the balloon data that we collect, it feeds into our AI models, and we translate these weather forecasts for insights and decisions specifically for utilities to help with their disaster preparedness. Now let's come back to Storm Kristen and imagine what would happen if we had a WindBorne solution in this situation. As you can see here, our models picked up the storm intensity 3 days ahead of leading global AI and NWP models, specifically the ECMWF and the AIFS. What would a utility do with this type of foresight? We are here to be able to present to utilities and look for partners because we are excited to be able to work alongside them to tailor the insights that we have from our weather solutions designed specifically to help prepare for these extreme events. Now, WindBorne has proven partnerships and commercial validation across a number of different organizations. Last year, we generated over $15 million in revenue, and as you can see here, our existing work has been primarily with the US government and a number of energy hedge funds. Our team is based out of California, across 70 folks from engineers, designers, and meteorologists. My name is Karen, and I'm excited to be here today, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Karen, for that pitch. Any jury questions? One here.
Yeah, how CapEx intensive would be the growth, and who funds the CapEx?
Yeah, great question. So our balloons all in cost are less than $1,000 all in, including hardware and labor. Now, because we fly our balloons and we sell the data, not the actual launch, the longer the balloons fly, the more data we collect. And we actually have a 60 to 70% gross margin right now. We've taken a lot of time to scale the constellation, and it's actually a very cost-efficient method when we look at all the different types of opportunities of existing solutions when it comes to closing the weather data gap.
There's another jury question here.
Yeah. How does this become a multi-billion-dollar company?
The TAM question, we love those things. I'll start off with saying weather data is a $400 million industry as a standalone. And to date, we've sold a lot of our weather data solutions to existing governments across the US and also Europe. Now, separately, when we think about weather solutions, weather drives and impacts over 60% of GDP across a number of different industries. And we're just starting today with industries like hedge funds and energy utilities. But because weather is so ubiquitous and we have a distinct data moat to be able to differentiate ourselves, we're excited to be able to translate and tailor these solutions for all these different types of industries and use cases.
One more
So
right here.
tracking right on that, you said you sell the data and yet you have a data moat. The thing that those hedge funds and all these others, those are huge numbers in the economy, but actually, what's the value you're creating? Is it in the model or the data? And who's going to actually pay you dollars, and for what exactly? Because it's not easy to translate these massive dollars into things that people will pay for.
So we're selling directly to the US government and other government organizations for the balloon data today, but we're also selling the weather forecast to industries like hedge funds, and we don't sell all of our data because that is our moat, and as our constellation scales, because we're at 300 balloons today, our goal is to get to 10,000. We're going to be able to retain our data differentiation over time.
Perfect. Thank you, Karen. Thank you for that pitch. And last but not least, Kajo Krummenacher, hopefully I didn't do that too much injustice, Chief Product Officer at Yuon.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Kajo Krummenacher, Chief Product Officer of Yuon. District heating is the cornerstone of Europe's energy transition. Billions are being invested into new networks, but there's a major problem. Today's networks operate with very limited intelligence. Their operating costs are driven by peak demand, which creates three major issues. First, limited capacity of the network. Second, preventable thermal losses. And third, higher CO2 emissions. So while utilities are investing massively in infrastructure, they're leaving massive value on the table. At Yuon, we solve this with AI-powered network optimization. Here, you can see a typical demand profile of a district heating network with a huge load peak in the morning hours. This peak is what limits the operator's use of their expensive infrastructure. Our system learns how each network behaves, forecast demand, and then optimize the energy flow in real time in order to lower this limiting peak. Our key success factor in this is that we integrate intelligent load management seamlessly into existing systems. So no hardware replacement, no infrastructure rebuild, software only. What does this mean in practice? Our client, the operations team of a large utility, gets this dashboard. Here, they can transparently see how our system optimizes their network in real time. With Yuon, utilities achieve more than 20% lower operating costs, up to 60% lower peak loads, and around 30% less CO2 emissions. We are really proud to have great traction in Switzerland and first commercial projects in Germany. We work together with leading utilities and have strategic partnerships with major European industry partners like Siemens. Our pipeline for 2026 represents a multi-million-dollar revenue potential in a market valued at $66 billion in Europe. And this market is growing. Behind Yuon is a diverse team. We bring together strong technical excellence in AI with proven industry experience in thermal networks. And we combine this with a driven sales team. With this, we are ready to scale. District heating is essential for Europe's decarbonization. Yuon makes it efficient. And now it's time to scale. For this, we are preparing a seed funding round in the next 12 months, and we start talking to investors now. I'm happy to keep you updated. Just reach out to me.
Thank you, Kajo, for your presentation. Any jury questions? Any questions? One here.
How invasive is the deployment?
So it depends on how the operator is currently set up. In the ideal case, they already have a guidance system, they already have smart meters, and in that case, this is software only. So it depends on that we need to get the I/O integration right, and that's also where we are building up our libraries of systems that we are compatible with.
Any other questions? Right. Thank you, Kajo, for your presentation.
Welcome.
And that sums up this startup pitch, AI for Energy. We'll take a little break now. The next startup pitches will start at 4 p.m. in 13 minutes, and that will be Energy for AI. See you then.